Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Webb-McRae, and I am the Cumberland County Prosecutor. I want to welcome our Facebook watchers today. We are streaming this press conference via Facebook Live. I am super happy to be here. We are not letting COVID slow us down. So instead of meeting in person, we are having a live press conference via Zoom, which we've done before, but I'm going to ask our audience as well as our participants to please be patient with us because it's a little bit more complicated doing a press conference this way, but we get the job done. So I want to say thank you to my county commissioner board, as well as our state and federal partners for allowing us to be here today with such a big announcement. I'd like to acknowledge some folks that are here today. You're going to hear from some of them, but I want to acknowledge all of our state and local supporters. We have with us today our Attorney General, Acting Attorney General Andrew Bruck. We also have with us Senator Michael Testa. We have with us CEO of Inspira, Amy Mansue, and Commissioner Director Darlene Barber, who will all be speaking. I would also like to acknowledge our legislative partners who every time I call on them have been very supportive. Assemblyman Eric Simonson, Assemblyman Antoine McClellan, and our new Assemblywomen, Assemblywoman Beth Sawyer and Assemblywoman Beth Ann McCarthy Patrick. Welcome with us today, and welcome everyone who is viewing via Zoom as well as on Facebook Live. I also have Chief Jody Farabella, who you're going to be hearing from as well. We're here today to announce two big grants that we have received. I'm going to say thank you to all of our partners who gave us letters of support, and I'm going to outline what you're going to hear today. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the grants very briefly. You're going to get some comments from our participants, and then we are going to have a question and answer portion of the event. The press will be able, thank you to our press partners, will be able to direct questions to the speakers. I'm going to ask that those questions be pertinent to the grants announcements and stay on topic. And I reserve the right to disregard any question that is not on topic. So getting into the grants, many of you know, because I try to speak about it everywhere I go, I feel like being the county prosecutor gives me the awesome responsibility, but also awesome privilege of reimagining what public safety can look like in our community. While I let everyone know everywhere I go that I understand that my most important job is prosecuting crime and keeping the citizens of Cumberland County safe, it's been my privilege to elevate the conversation about how we can reimagine what public safety looks like in our community, and sometimes push social ills that find their way into the criminal justice system back up the pipeline to systems that address health, mental health, substance abuse by breaking down silos and becoming partners with the individuals that work in those fields. We have a wonderful community justice unit here at the Cumberland County Prosecutor's Office. It consists of Tracy Swan, who is our public safety reform strategist, Matt Rudd, who is our community justice coordinator, and newly brought on Amy Holmes, who is working on trauma-informed protocol and trauma with our youth. My team has formed 5 areas of strategic initiative. We've been working on these issues for years, but I'm so proud that they've kind of gelled it into 5 strategic areas. And those areas are 1, positive youth outcomes, 2, anti-gang and violence reduction, 3, trauma prevention and intervention, 4, substance use disorder diversion, and 5, mental health supports. The 2 grants that we are announcing today focus on the last two prongs. That will be mental health support through our EMBHED grant, which is effective mental and behavioral health emergency diversion. And the last prong would be substance use disorder diversion, and that would be Freedom Plus, which is fighting relapse effort, employing drug offense monitoring. You're going to hear a little bit more about those grants as we move through this press conference, but I'm so honored to have our acting Attorney General with us today, who will be speaking with you about an initiative that he chose to start here in Cumberland County that will also marry some of the work that we're doing with our mental health diversion grant. Thank you, Attorney General Bruck, for being here with us today. And I want to publicly say thank you for being such an accessible general, where we can always bring our concerns to you and you always listen and try to meet the needs of the citizens of Cumberland County and throughout the state. Welcome.
Thank you, Prosecutor. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your friendship, your partnership, and your leadership. For more than a decade, you've been doing some really remarkable things in Cumberland County on this issue and so many others. And I am always excited by the opportunity to work with you in your office. You're doing some really, really innovative things, and I'm so happy to support them. I also want to thank everyone else who's joining us for this event today. Senator Testa, all of our friends in the legislature, Chief Farabella, Amy Mansue, folks in Cumberland County government. This is a real reminder that support for good policing services and good community services cuts across political, ideological, partisan, geographic lines, and that we all have a vested interest in both protecting public safety and building public trust. And I have to say, in my time as acting Attorney General, I have really gotten to know Cumberland County. I've probably been down there more than most folks who have been in this position. And it was just back in December that I was at the Trinity AME Church with Prosecutor Webb-McRae and others in Ghoultown as we announced Arrive Together, which is our groundbreaking new pilot program that's designed to improve mental health services, and that I'll talk about in a little bit, and that which dovetails so nicely into the grants that we're talking about today. So let's start with some facts. It was about a year and a half ago that the New Jersey AG's office began electronically collecting data about every incident in the state where a law enforcement officer uses force against a civilian. All 38,000 officers, all 21 counties. And now that we've got about a year of data, we're sifting through it and gaining insights from the information we're collecting. And one of the most remarkable things that we've seen in the data is that 2 out of every 3 use of force incident reports that we receive indicate that the civilian against whom the force was used was either experiencing a mental health crisis or under the influence of drugs or alcohol. 2 out of every 3. That number is striking, and it also presents an opportunity, because if we can change the way that we engage with folks who are in crisis, we can dramatically reduce the number of use of force incidents in the state. We can improve the services that we provide to people who need them. We can reduce unnecessary burdens on law enforcement. And most importantly, we can save lives. We can actually make our community better and safer. And it was based on that insight from the data that we decided to launch Arrive Together back in December. Now, I think as most of you know, when someone calls 911 to report someone who's in crisis, the 911 dispatcher will typically send whatever officer happens to be closest to the scene. And sometimes that officer has mental health training, and sometimes the officer doesn't. And with Arrive Together, this pilot program that we've launched in Cumberland, we're trying something different. When someone calls 911 to report someone in crisis, we send 2 people who come at the same time. One is a plainclothes New Jersey state trooper who is trained in de-escalation and crisis intervention. And the second person is a certified mental health screener who can help connect the person to services. And the 2 of them arrive together. The trooper takes the lead in securing the scene, but then once the scene is safe, it's the mental health expert who responds to the crisis. and can help connect the person to whatever services they need. We launched it in December in partnership with the Cumberland County Prosecutor's Office. Even in the few months that we've been off the ground, we already know of cases where we've gone out there, we've provided folks with services, and we had safe and peaceful outcomes that might not have happened otherwise. And it's a sign that this pilot program is promising and something worth pursuing and expanding. And as we thought about this program, as we were building it last year, and we were trying to think about where we wanted to launch it, we chose Cumberland County for a couple of reasons. Part of it was because we were doing this through New Jersey State Police, and New Jersey State Police provides general policing services in, I think, 11 of the 14 towns in Cumberland County. But we also chose Cumberland for a couple other reasons. One was because it was clear that there was a need for better services in the region. It's a portion of the state that is often overlooked, is too often overlooked, and we thought that we could help make a difference in the area. But also, we were drawn to Cumberland because of the great community partnerships, because of the real support that the Cumberland County Prosecutor's Office has built in the area, and the great relationships that exist with the community leaders that we need in order to do something like this. And I think it really is remarkable that we launched this program at the Trinity AME Church in Goldtown, just down the road from where that awful, awful shooting had taken place months earlier. And it's a sign that for all of the risks that we face in our community, there are also glimmers of hope and opportunity, and that we can turn around the increase in violent crime that we're seeing in our state and actually create new and better outcomes for folks. I'm really excited about the grants that Cumberland County is announcing today. Both EMBHED and Freedom Plus dovetail perfectly into the work that we're doing with Arrive Together, because they're designed to help improve the services that we give to folks who have experiencing mental health crisis or suffering from substance abuse disorder or addiction, and help us with our broader effort to divert folks out of the criminal justice system and into places where they can get the services they need. It's no surprise that Cumberland County sought these grants and received them, because Cumberland County has been at the forefront for creative and innovative ways of using grant money in order to create a better, safer criminal justice system. And oftentimes, as we're thinking about programs that we want to launch statewide, we look to the work that Prosecutor Webb-McRae and others are doing down there to think about what we can do in the rest of New Jersey. So I wanted to be here today to lend my support, to make clear that the Murphy administration is supportive of the work that's happening, and to thank all of you for your partnership. So thanks.
Thank you, General. And when we were there in December, I mentioned that we had applied for these grants, and I think you choosing Cumberland County and starting this work here sent good luck our way, and we are happy that we can marry the work that we're doing with these grants with Arrive Together and build up Cumberland County and its response to mental health. So we appreciate your support.
Absolutely.
I now have the privilege of introducing our first district legislative senator, Michael Testa. I asked him to speak today for a couple of reasons. One is that every time I've called on Senator Testa, whether it be to help advance the interest of children in our community or on a criminal justice issue, he's always answered the call. I also called upon him because many of you know that I started my career as a criminal defense attorney, and Senator Testa has a day job, and does a fair amount of criminal defense in the region. And I knew that he would have a unique perspective on how diversionary programs and mental health programs could help criminal defendants in the criminal justice system. So I want to say thank you, Senator Testa, for always answering the call to help the citizens of Cumberland County and the region, and for participating today. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. I'm truly honored to be here, and you and I go back my full 20 plus years of practicing law now. And I do remember when you practiced on sort of the other side of the aisle as a criminal defense attorney. So I know you bring a unique perspective to being our county prosecutor. And I'm also honored to be here with our Attorney General. I really appreciate that, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give a special shout out to Melissa Niles, who I've known for a number of years, who has really been on the front lines of dealing with the sundry of addiction issues that our state and our county have been facing for the better part of the last 15 years. I'm really happy to be here to celebrate these grants and to hear more about how they will help many of our neighbors to help set their lives on a much better path and to avoid the perils of drug abuse and addiction. Sadly, in my capacity as a criminal defense lawyer, I have seen far too many promising lives crushed by the weight of addiction and despair. And I firmly believe that new and exciting innovations in addressing these pernicious problems will help our communities to improve. As Madam Prosecutor stated, I've been involved in what used to be called drug court, now recovery court, for a number of years. And I've seen the successes that recovery court has brought to people who used to not have a pathway to having their records cleared through expungement and getting their lives in order and really shedding the stigma of being an addict. We obviously need to work across the aisle, and all of us need to work together to seek answers for these challenges. And I look forward to participating in that search with everyone on this call. I want to congratulate Prosecutor Webb-McRae and to our partners across the region for their commitment to Cumberland County. And for those that know me, know I don't often, congratulate the Murphy administration, but I really want to give a thank you to the Murphy administration for recognizing Cumberland County's needs, understanding where Cumberland County is, and for our acting attorney general for coming to Cumberland County as often as he has. I call balls and strikes as I see them, and I really appreciate when South Jersey is recognized, especially my home county of Cumberland County. So kudos to the Murphy administration for realizing the needs of Cumberland County and addressing those needs, because they are very real, and there's a very harsh reality to the needs that we are facing and to the crisis that we have been in for over a decade at this point in time. I am now going to turn it over to my friends and our Assemblyman Antoine McClellan and Simonson for their perspective. Thank you so much.
Assemblyman McClellan. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me and actually having us. And as the senator said, the acting attorney general has been down in our district a bunch, and it's a great pleasure for him to come down and represent and being able to help out. And our pros, we've done a lot of good things together, and we're going to be doing a lot more. And this is a special time to celebrate your hard work, one, and how you represent Cumberland County and how you'll continue to fight for those that are in need. So please continue to do that, and you'll have the support of Legislative District 1 and 3 now to make sure that we continue to fight and do right by our constituents and our people in this county. So thank you very much for always including me, and I'm glad that we've been able to work together over the last 4 years, and we'll continue to do more great things together.
Thank you, Assemblyman McClellan. Assemblyman Simonson, I can't see you, but if you'd like to say a few words. Oh, there you go. Okay,
sure.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm en route, so I'm just happy to be on. Thanks for having me on today with obviously my fellow assemblyman and senator. And I'm here to listen, and as anything that we can do as legislators to help in this capacity, we're here for you, and we've been doing that. So like I said, I'm just wish everyone the best in moving forward, and here to listen and hear some of the great things, like you said, the grant programs and some of the other programs. I know, like Veterans Court and these drug courts and things that we can help, and some of these issues that we can help with and implement into our schools. Like we have the school-based programs and things like that to work along with the prosecutor's office. Anything we can do to help. So I appreciate you having me on, and I'll be listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman, and thank you for always answering the call. Assemblywoman McCarthy Patrick, if you'd like to say a few words. If you could, oh yeah.
I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I do promote and support. We definitely need help with addiction, where to go, how to get it, and it's excellent that you are in the program, and they chose Cumberland County for that. And hopefully it will expand and we can get help to everyone. But thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, and I look forward to working with you. Assemblywoman Sawyer, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. I want to thank you very much for inviting me on the call. I look forward to working with Senator Testa and his assemblymen and all of you in strengthening our relationship and getting to know you, and know that we'll be there to help you any way we can to strengthen our relationship with Cumberland County and all the constituents.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now I have the privilege of introducing my County Commissioner Director, Darlene Barber. I want to thank her in advance for appearing today and thank her for the continued support that she has given me throughout the years, being my co-commissioner throughout my tenure, during her tenure on our commissioner board. I'm so excited to be working with you as the director. Many of you may know that Commissioner Barber is a retired educator, but she has a passion for the children of Cumberland County, and throughout the years has supported my mission, allowing me to work on issues that support children and bolster outcomes for youth. So welcome, County Commissioner Barber.
Yes, good morning, everybody. And it's certainly wonderful to be here today and to be here across party lines in many different ways, and to be here to celebrate a wonderful day. It was wonderful, absolutely great to hear the launching project arrive here in Cumberland County. And I want to thank the AG for that, for picking us to be your pilot. There's one thing I can say about living in Cumberland County, that we all understand that we are a very poor county, or have been a poor county throughout the years. And we've learned how to work together to make sure that we do everything we can possibly do to help all of our constituents in many different ways. But today, being here to launch two programs, the EMBHED program and the Freedom Plus program, shows how we here in Cumberland are continuing to support and celebrate our investment in our public safety, our community, our well-being. And even though we're still talking about COVID, we're doing everything we can do beyond that. We are very proud to continue to support you. The initiatives that were brought forward under the direction of Commissioner Director Durella, with the programs that he put forth with you, our positive youth programs, our anti-gang programs, these mental health and behavioral health programs are just going to be another step forward for our youth, for our young adults, our people that are suffering from mental health anxieties with COVID, are certainly going to be able to take advantage of this wonderful program. So, Madam Prosecutor, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm so proud of Cumberland County. You, Melissa, Niles, you all make us so proud for what you do for the people that need us desperately here in Cumberland County. So thank you again for having me here to represent all the commissioners. And on behalf of all the commissioners, I say thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for working together across party lines to make everything work. Collaboration is the best way to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Director, and I appreciate you for all you do to support our initiatives. So now I'm excited because I get to talk about the grants. The first grant that I'm going to talk about is called EMBHED. It's spelled EMBHED, which I don't think is the traditional way you spell embed, but it stands for Effective Mental and Behavioral Health Emergency Diversion. EMBHED is focused on assisting those with mental illness who come into contact with the police. The main points of the project are three-pronged. The first prong I'm happy to say is in partnership with Inspira Health Network. And we're going to be able to embed a social worker in the Millville Police Department with the goal to increase access to justice through appropriate clinical care and build trust between the police and the community. So we chose Millville strategically because of the community outreach that Millville is currently doing in their community to work with their homeless population and to work with at-risk individuals in the community. I see my strong partner. We got Chief Farabella on the call, but we also have Chief Mike Gamari from Bridgeton on the call. Hi, Chief Gamari. When I announced that we were choosing Millville, I anticipated that my other chiefs might be a little salty, but I also pledged to them that I will find additional funds to embed social workers into their departments as well. And I hope that I have built a track record of saying when I pledge to do something like that, I follow through with it. So that's my pledge to you, Chief Gamari. In addition, prong 2 is countywide training for law enforcement under the crisis intervention team model, the mental first aid model, and de-escalation methods, which will assist to expedite an effective response to psychological emergencies and overdose calls. That's crucial and so important because oftentimes our police officers are called to every type of social ill that we find in our community. And oftentimes we would have a better response if we called the professionals who were trained and could identify what we were actually dealing with and help diffuse the situation. Now, saying that, we don't intend to put any lay worker into harm's way. But when we work with, when we train and we work with our mental health professionals and we allow them to train us, we all can have a better response to the crises that manifest themselves in calls for police service when they're actually mental health emergencies and sometimes substance abuse under the influence emergencies. So there will be training that we will be able to provide as a part of this grant with our mental health working group to make and assist all of our police officers to be better able to identify the type of problem that they're working with and address it appropriately. Finally, the third prong of this grant is to be able to put some funds behind developing a 24/7 countywide on-call crisis response or outreach team who will assist police at appropriate incidents and protect the public from evolving threats. So we've had some critical incidents in Cumberland County that we know were the result of mental health illness. And as a result of them, I felt convicted to make sure that no officer, especially a young officer who's called to a scene in the middle of the night, doesn't have assistance and help addressing responses that are actually mental health or substance abuse related responses. I know our acting attorney general and our prior attorney general worked very hard to make sure that we have ABLE and ICAT training. All law enforcement officers in the state of New Jersey are being trained at this point to, number one, de-escalate and to practice active bystandership by role playing, building muscle memory to be able to address mental health issues when they encounter them. But it will be of particular interest to me to see how having mental health professionals available to them on call at any time will enhance our responses to calls for crisis that are actually mental health cries for help. So that is the summary of the EMBHED grant, and it is my extreme privilege to be able to introduce to you Inspira CEO Amy Mansue. Ms. Mansue is the head of our hospital system. I feel privileged actually to only have to deal with one hospital system because we know in Cumberland County that if you bring a few big fish in a small pond together, we can do amazing things. And I had the privilege of meeting Miss Mansue and dialoguing with her and knowing implicitly that she was going to be a partner in our work to reimagine public safety. And I thank you, Amy, for pledging the resources of your staff. You have some people on the call today to help us enhance our responses to mental health crisis and substance abuse use in our community. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Prosecutor McRae. I want to join also with you in thanking General Bruck for being on, Senator Testa, our assembly leaders, all of whom have been such an important players as we continue to find our way through COVID, as well as welcoming me into the county, which I'm grateful. Commissioner Barber has been right there, willing to extend her hand, and I am so grateful. And that role as educator stands present, and we are certainly blessed to have Director Niles in place, guiding us through all of this and making sure her resources are there. I want to thank the Chief of Police, Chief Farabella. None of this could happen without your willingness to allow us these partnerships to really break down the silos. Inspira is thrilled to have two of our experts on today. April Venable is the head of our service lines, and David Moore is our expert who has such passion for people with behavioral health needs, as well as partnering with Matt Rudd from the prosecutor's office to find money. You guys are a dynamic duo, so I really am grateful that we continue to find opportunities to bring resources to Cumberland County. So let's talk about the county, right? You've heard already referenced that we have some challenges. We have some issues in reference to poverty. We look at the fact that we have the highest rate of distressed individuals in the county, which means people that actually experience depression over a 14-day period, and our number is at 16%. And so as you think about how are you going to address that, the reality is that nobody can do it alone. We've got to try some new and innovative ideas. And I want to say that Dave Moore has certainly been at the heart of putting some of these things into place. I've had the privilege of seeing what happens when we have recovery specialists actually in the emergency room with us, diffusing the situation, de-escalating. And I got to tell you, there is nothing more powerful than somebody being able to look at a patient and say, I've sat where you sat. I've been where you've been. I know the challenges you're facing, and I'm going to walk with you on this journey. And being able to have that process happen, which Dave has led our effort to put that in place at Inspira this year, we've already begun to see tremendous results. So I know the concept of having a social worker who is trained in all of the areas of expertise that I just talked about, partner with our police to make sure that they have the training they need, but also to just evaluate the situation. Chief Farabella, I can't tell you what it means to be able to have somebody on site, not just to provide the technical assistance, but to break bread every day. That's what's going to make a difference. And that's what makes a difference in this county. When we stop worrying about our titles and we start saying, what do we need to do to move this forward? This will not be solved by one of us. It will only be solved by all of us. And I am grateful that Commissioner, Madam Prosecutor, you have, I laughed when I heard Senator Testa talk about balls and strikes, because you have no problem calling balls and strikes on me when we need to be doing something better. And I am so grateful for that. So we are continuing to work every single day to move forward the things that we do within the walls of the hospital. But I hope that this shows you outside of the walls of the hospital, we are willing to partner. And I too want to commit to my friends in Bridgeton, the chief, that you find them the money, and I guarantee you we'll find the person to be there with them, because that's what it's going to take to attack this every single day. We know that our rate of suicide in this county went up 40% from 2010 to 2020, and that was before COVID. The only way we're going to get to folks who feel that dark and feel that sad is to be able to partner together. And I am just so grateful that we have the experts who are not only bring their experience, but bring their compassion together to break down our silos and say, what can we do to make it work? And I want to commit on behalf of the 6,500 employees at Inspira, you have our full support on this effort and other efforts as we continue to really move Cumberland County forward. and take away the concept of being last in health outcomes to being first in health outcomes. So Prosecutor, I will, and my team will make ourselves available to you and to all of you on the phone. We are so grateful for your support because it's the only way this works. So thank you very much for allowing us to be here today.
Thank you, Amy, and please call me Jennifer. And I'm just like, I'm awestruck with how much responsibility you have, but how personal you've been and the commitment that you've made to Cumberland County. So thank you so much for your support and your partnership. I'm gonna go off script, which I'm gonna get hollered at about, but I just want to acknowledge that a number of members from our mental health working group that we were charged to begin by way of our use of force new directive from our Attorney General are on the call. So at this point, I would just ask you to show your face and wave if you're on the call. I see Elvira Smith, I see Joe Valenti. So just wave and say hello, because they're our partners. They're the people that are, you know, doing this for no money, but guiding us and giving us, you know, instruction on how we can do this work better. So we appreciate all of our mental health working group partners that are on the call. It is now my privilege to introduce Chief Jody Farabella from the Millville Police Department. I'm going to say thank you, Chief, for giving us, thank you for, what's the word? Thank you for laboring under all my crazy ideas for all these years and just allowing me to experiment and do pilot programs, and always being a willing participant and leader to try to you know, change the paradigm and reimagine public safety. I can give a shout out to all my chiefs for that, but I appreciate you doing that in this circumstance, and I know we're going to do amazing things. Welcome, Chief.
Well, thank you, and good morning to everybody. And I will just say I'm very, very excited for this this opportunity. I know you tell me quite often that you like me the best, and I have to say that to the other chiefs.
I only say that when I'm on the phone with you, and then I tell Chief Gamari the same thing. But thank you.
but you know, I want to thank everybody who spoke here today, and I want to thank the acting Attorney General. He was really on point on what he said, and I look back at all the people who did speak, and obviously I get to work with a lot of you, and you know, there's this working together, and let's just go back, you know, several years ago when we were chiefs, and we all worked together with Tracy Swan and yourself, and we thought about just ways of making Cumberland County a better place, and it started off with just getting those chaplains and how great that became. And when we accomplished that great thing, building that transparency with our community, what's next? And then we built upon our PAL program. And, you know, for the city of Millville, we have 500 Center City kids involved in PAL, from wrestling to football to basketball. But you know, this, I have to say, Jennifer Webb-McRae, I want to thank you for being our prosecutor. For one, always taking the phone calls that I give, and being a partner, and always helping our community, and always coming up with creative ways to just make it just that. So coming from the Chief of Police here at Millville, I'm very, very excited. I'm very happy with work with Inspira. I can't wait to get to know more of Amy. I'm very happy to have her in Cumberland County. And, you know, we do a lot of training with the escalation and techniques and the ICAT and the ABLE, but, you know, just having a mental health social worker by our side, having that tool to use that when it's needed is just incredible. And, you know, we thank you for letting us be this pilot. We're very excited getting this moving. And I will not hold up any more of your time, but I just want you to know from my heart, from being a chief of police here at Millville, this is a great tool. And I want to thank all of you who got this grant and all this hard work to make this possible. And I will stop with that.
So I want to say thank you for being the leader that you are and leading your community justice officers who are doing so much for the community and really taking the lead on reimagining what public safety can look like. And honestly, taking the lead on changing and shifting that mindset from the warrior mindset that so many of you police officers were trained in to the guardian mindset. You, Chief Gamari, Chief Castellano, you have embraced that mission. We talk about it quite a bit at our Chiefs meeting, and I thank you for being willing to be guardians of our community. So thank you so much. We're going to shift gears a little bit right now. I'm going to shift to the second grant that we have just received, and correct me if I'm wrong, on the EMBHED grant, we received almost $500,000. Is that correct?
543,000.
543,000 to be exact. So under the Freedom Plus grant, we have received almost $900,000. Is that right? And that Freedom Plus stands for Fighting Relapse Effort Employing Drug Offense Monitoring Plus. The Bureau of Justice Assistance, which funded both of these grants, really loves these acronyms. So we try to be creative every time we apply for grants. But that grant was one of my crazy ideas that they really, Tracy and Matt really took and made into an application. And it was all about empowering empowering programs or creating programs which give assistant prosecutors options to divert people away from the criminal justice system. We have a diversion, equity, and inclusion committee here. One of the subcommittees is our diversion subcommittee. And one of the things that the feedback I got is that we are lacking diversion programs at the front end of the system. You heard Senator Testa talk a little bit about drug court. That's for our folks who are really facing state prison. It's a long-term program. Oftentimes we have to convince, when I was a defense attorney, convince individuals to participate in that. This is a front-end program. We will be able to divert individuals from the criminal justice system who are committing crimes really related to addiction and dangle the carrot of dismissing their charges over their head if they comply with the treatment recommendations. So this is a program where there will include treatment and key peer recovery supports for those being charged with crimes stemming from drug-seeking behavior. There are three components to this grant. One is to work in conjunction with the Cumberland County Department of Human Services, Melissa Niles, woo-hoo, who will work to address an individual substance abuse disorder through their licensed outpatient facility First Step Clinic and their Capital Recovery Center. The second component is to make progress to embrace non-arrest pathways to treatment and recovery, like law enforcement assisted diversion, which is LEAD, and police assisted addiction and recovery initiatives, which is PARI, as we support our community members fighting to be substance free. Another shout out for our Attorney General, who gives us operating helping hand monies. And we are working very hard to become a LEAD PARI site to follow those models and objectives to keep people from our criminal justice system. Finally, the third component intervention effort partners. Our Cumberland County Department of Human Services is integral to both projects, both the Mental Health Project and the Freedom Plus Project. But with respect to the Freedom Plus Project, we would not be here without the partnership that we've been able to form with amazing County Department Head Leader, Melissa Niles. We envisioned a recovery coach program maybe 5-6 years ago, which is a volunteer program. And because I know how to stay in my lane and know that I don't have the experience in drug abuse counseling or mental health, because oftentimes they go hand in hand, I really leaned heavily on Melissa Niles to build out systems and programs that help us promote a strong recovery community in Cumberland County. She's the leader and we provide support where we can. And I'm proud to be her partner and welcome her today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here. So as the department head for Cumberland County Human Services, I'm also the mental health administrator, and I'm the drug and alcohol coordinator for our county. I'm delighted to keep the momentum going of providing support to our community by offering more pathways towards recovery and health. So First Step Clinic is one of the divisions under my department that has been operating since 1975. And it's Cumberland and Bergen County. We're the only two counties left that still provide direct services to our community. All the other counties choose to contract it out. So I have a special, heartfelt, deep sense of gratitude for the county commissioners and administration for supporting us all of these years. So, but you know, these grants really allow us to expand our reach and to help even more Cumberland County residents, and we're very, very grateful. So it all started with First Step Clinic, and you know, our Recovery on Wheels mobile unit, and now the Capital Recovery Center. And thank you to the Attorney General for the OHH funds and the Prosecutor's Office. Just amazing partnerships and the people's lives that we've been able to touch and those that we have yet to touch. This is just very exciting. Freedom Plus will be yet another extension of our efforts to free those caught in the grips of addiction, the cycle of relapse, and drug-seeking behavior. So our department, this grant is allowing our department to further become more and more as a recovery hub for our community. And we also are assisting with mental health supports when they're most needed. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of what some of the benefits of working together with this program are, so we're going to be receiving referrals as they happen from law enforcement, and residents will be offered on the spot drug and alcohol evaluations through First Step Clinic. And by the way, it's, you know, the person will never have to pay for services. And we have trained clinicians waiting to serve the people and to make a recommendation for their treatment, and it's client driven. So it's not going to be done to them. It's a plan that's done in collaboration with them, right? And, you know, we also have, again, the Recovery Center, which is free of charge as well, so that a person can, there is no end point. A person can, they're a member when they say they are, you know, and they could use the services as long as they want. They'll never be kicked out. And it's also believes in peer-to-peer, is very much peer-driven. So there's levels of participation where, because we know that people in recovery, one of the biggest, I would say the hinge that holds a lot of people together and keep going in their recovery and helps them prevent relapse, is to get involved in their community. So if people are involved in their community, they're less likely to harm their community. So we have volunteer opportunities that can eventually lead to, you know, we have paid volunteers as well, and then paid employees. So, so we will be connecting lots and lots more people to treatment and community resources. And so by offering holistic recovery support services, this grant is really going to pay long-term dividends, because it addresses the gripping effects of drug dependency and criminal behavior. Because I'm just going to go off script just a little bit, and then I'm going to close with this. Because I'm a person in long-term recovery, and which for me means I haven't had a drink or a drug since September 30th, 2002. And it was law enforcement that saved me from myself. So even before they had terminology or things like this, there were some officers out there that were just natural helpers. And and this is not about me, but I just want everyone here to know, and with a sincere, heartfelt thank you, that recovery is possible. There's 27 million people in the United States in long-term recovery. Most people hide because of stigma. But my whole life's calling, I have been redeemed and spared so that I could help others. And I'm not special. Anybody can recover. We are here to put as many tools as we can into each person's hand so that individuals who are suffering can take the rightful places back with their families, and become productive members of society, and so that they can actually carry out their purpose in life, which is not to die from the horrors of addiction. So I'm just very grateful, and thank you very much.
So Melissa has been an amazing partner. A lot of times we talk, us leaders talk at an 1,000-foot level, and Melissa is always the one who brings it down to the granular level and makes us realize that we're privileged to serve people and to help people become their best selves. So I'm always, I feel privileged to work with you and to help just be a little small part of your vision on making Cumberland County a recovery-friendly community. And remembering that if people are going to be in true recovery, they have to be able to do it here in our community. So the next time, you hear about a drug treatment center opening or whatever, we stop that not in my backyard mentality and realize that we need to have it here. So thank you for that, Melissa. Before I go to question and answer, I just want to acknowledge Elvira Smith from the Cumberland County Guidance Center, who has been such a critical partner in our CIT training within the community. I thank you for everything you've been doing for years. You're such a quiet, humble person, but you really, do a lot to help people with mental health. And we know mental health and substance abuse often go hand in hand. So we thank you for your help and your partnership and your guidance. And I believe Liz Meenan is our new CEO of the Cumberland County Guidance Center. So I would like to just say welcome to her and thank you for being here and supporting our initiatives and efforts. We appreciate you.
No, thank you so much. And we're glad to be here and glad to be participating.
Thank you. And I can't wait to meet you in person. So we are now at the question and answer stage. And if anyone from our press has a question, I am willing, and we have speakers who might be able to answer those questions. I see Matt Gray on the call, and I know you submitted some questions ahead of time, so I don't know if you want me to try to answer those or if you have any other questions.
Sure, if you wanted to cover those. I think it was 3 items I had put out there, yeah.
Yes, so you had a question, you said on the EMBHED grant, does this include training officers in less lethal methods for gaining control of someone in a mental health crisis, such as using a taser or some form of physical restraint rather than deadly force? So what I would say to that is that no, not per se, but to say that I want to mention that our Attorney General has dictated through our directive that all law enforcement officers in the state be trained in ABLE and ICAT training. ABLE stands for Active Bystander for Law Enforcement Training, which is, in a situation where there's not a safety issue, if there's a way or a means to back up, de-escalate, talk through this situation, officers are being trained to do that. It's not just a training where we talk at our officers, they're actually given scenarios, and the training consists of experienced officers and less experienced officers, as well as supervisors, so that they can talk out the issues that you frequently encounter, and we can train them in scenarios so that they build muscle memory. In addition to that, they are going through the ICAT training, which stands for Integrating Communication Assessment and Tactics. And that's a training for first responders where they learn tactics, skills, and options for appropriately addressing mental health crisis. And we thank our Attorney General for having the vision and helping us get the tools to be able to carry that out. I'm very excited about it. As you heard the General say, what I learned through serving on the use of force, mental health, emotionally disturbed persons committee was that many of our encounters that end in deadly force are actually cause for mental health crisis. So we want to be leaders in doing better at addressing those issues front hand. And the other issue with that I think that it's important to say, as we are building out to get tasers throughout our county. Vineland has them. I know that Millville is working on getting them, and Chief Gamari is considering them as well, is that there are so many incidents that the public never gets to hear about that end successfully. And because of privacy issues, we generally can't show you those body-worn camera encounters that end successfully. But for every tragedy that I know you become aware of, there are a number of successful encounters that end with everyone walking away safe. And I'm hoping that we can figure out a way where we can share some of those encounters. I know when I have the opportunity, I always call our chiefs. I let them know I witnessed them, to let the officers know that I commend them for the way that they handled the restraint that they used, the patience that they used. But hopefully we can figure out how we can protect the privacy of the people we encounter, but also make some of those incidents public so that the public can see that law enforcement officers are using their training to the advantage and safety of the public. So we are working on tasers, but the training that we'll be doing is really in crisis intervention training and mental health first aid training. And those trainings will be in conjunction with our mental health professionals, who are the best people to tell us how to, diffuse situations and what to do and not to do to escalate situations. So that really answered question 1 and 2. And then you said on the second grant, what are the kinds of offenses that will qualify someone for diversion? So with respect to the Freedom Plus diversion program, they would be non-violent offenses. We are building it out, but what I can envision are simple possession offenses, thefts, shopliftings, non-violent offenses, which are fueled by addiction. So sometimes burglaries into sheds, burglaries into cars, they are fueled by addiction. And those I would envision would be the type of offenses that we would be attempting to divert into the Freedom Plus program. I can also say that sometimes we have possession with intent offenses that are small amounts that are sold to fuel habits. I want to be able to keep an open mind to diverting those offenses as well. But as things become more serious or people are involved with the distribution of CDS, they probably would not be eligible for Freedom Plus. Have I answered your questions, Matt?
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for being a partner and spreading the word about some of the good stuff we're doing at the prosecutor's office as well. Do we have any other questions? Tracy, did we get anything in Facebook Live?
We did get one question. It was about the Freedom Plus program. And the person's interested in understanding how Freedom Plus would be different than drug court.
So we envision that Freedom Plus will be a more front-end program. Normally, when people are considering drug court, it's because they've received an offer of state prison for offenses that are a little bit more serious. Their record is a little bit more serious. Our hope is that Freedom Plus will be a pre-indictment program, meaning that prosecutors can look at someone's history as well as the type of offenses that they're participating in and talk with the defense attorney about placing them in this diversion program early. Now, post-indictment, we still may be able to place them in the program, but it would be for people that are not necessarily facing state prison, but we can see that their crimes are escalating and fueled by their addiction.
And the other part to that question, and the answer may be that we haven't completely developed the program yet, is how many chances offenders will get as part of Freedom Plus to divert their charges.
So I would be actively consulting with individuals like Melissa Niles to answer that question. We have not built out all of the parameters. One thing that I know from being a public defender, a criminal defense attorney, and being in criminal justice for probably dating myself closer to 30 years now, 25, 30 years, is that with recovery, we know that people don't always make it their first time. And we have to be open to allowing them to make the mistakes of relapse and not counting them out, because they still can get into active recovery and become productive members of society if we allow for the science to dictate how we address addiction and understand that relapses will happen. So I'm hoping that we can be open-minded about participation, and just like drug court, not necessarily kick someone out because they have a relapse. That will probably be dictated by, how, if they're continuing to commit crimes and if crimes escalate into violence, but we're going to be open-minded and trust the professionals.
And then we do have a question from the New Jersey Free Press. I'm sorry, my phone is ringing at the same time. And it says, how would we deal with restitution for victims of the offenders that would qualify for Freedom Plus?
So we are we're very versed at dealing with diversionary programs and restitution at this point. Many of you are aware of pretrial intervention, which gives people an opportunity to divert and at the end of their time, which is similar to probation, getting their charges dismissed. And we often put a mandate of paying restitution with respect to PTI. So we can do the same thing through Freedom Plus. We can condition their successful completion of Freedom Plus on their efforts to making restitution. So that will not be a problem. So I want to thank everyone today for coming and participating. I appreciate all of our supporters, General, Senator, Assembly people, chiefs, all of our mental health working group partners that are on the call for taking the time today to celebrate with us this, I think, $1.4 million in funding. My last promise will be that I will work very hard to find more money to embed social workers in our other police departments, Chief Kamari. And thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate all of you. Bye-bye.